There have been many political, secular, religious, and rights based movements and revolutions in Pakistan since the country came on the world map. The country's geopolitical positioning, its neoliberal policy regimes, and political systems have been both a cause and a deterrent for social movements and grassroots activism. But it boasts a rich history of concrete, brave collective action, which stood against oppression and demanded freedom, accountability, and civil liberty. In this podcast series, produced under Women's Voice and Leadership Pakistan, a 5-year project funded by Global Affairs Canada to support local women's organizations and movements, we will speak with activists in the country who, through their activism, advocacy, and work, have mobilized and empowered women and fought for protection of their rights. An academic, researcher, trainer, and teacher, Neelum Hussain has been a key member of prominent women rights organization Women Action Forum or WAF. She is the executive coordinator and founding member of Simorgh, a women's resource and publication center based in Lahore. She has over 25 years of experience in teaching at women's colleges and universities, giving her a unique perspective on Pakistani women's collectivism and activism through the years. We hear from her a brief history and context of women's rights movements in Pakistan, her personal journey into activism, and her views on its evolution.
There was always a perception of unequal opportunities and unequal rights from childhood onwards. I mean, छोटी-छोटी चीज़ें कि mobility में आप बाहर नहीं जा सकते, छोटा भाई जा सकता है, that kind of thing. Assumptions that I would, by logic and by, I would get married, and that would be the main focus of my life. And it never really appealed. I mean, there was much more that I wanted to do. And I mean, it was an evolving understanding. As you grow up, you come across small situations, events, moments, and you feel, what the hell. But I think it was my academic work, my reading through literature, which gave an edge to my thinking, because literature enables you to enter many worlds, widen the ambit of your own, beyond your own experience, and to see that things are changing. Then there was also the divide between the home and school. The home had its own conventions and its own expectations and its own variables. By contrast, school was cross class at that time. अब तो है ना, एक ही क्लास के एलीट बच्चे एलीट स्कूलों में होते हैं, गरीब बच्चे गरीब स्कूलों में. हमारा तो there were very poor students and there were very rich students, but it wasn't a consumerist culture. So इतना वो फर्क वाजे नहीं था, पर पर्सपेक्टिव्स फर्क आ रहे थे. Like we had Christian fellow students, friends, we had Parsi friends. हर एक के घर का फर्क कल्चर था. And so you saw that happening, of people negotiating space, and also a sense that the boundaries that were drawn for us were flexible, or could be made to change, or could be transgressed. And then, as I said, my reading of feminist theory and of feminist struggles, the suffragette movement, फिर अपनी freedom movement की कहानियाँ. So ये नहीं था कि औरत घर के अंदर ही होती है. Freedom movement में बहुत औरतों ने हिस्सा लिया, very conservative women. Then my generation was witness to the Apwa's struggle for the family laws ordinance, and women were out in the streets. And I mean, And the men in my family, at least, were very supportive of what they were doing, but also what I noticed, a little amused at the idea कि ये औरतें बाहर निकली हुई हैं, you know, he. So वो double सी चीज थी. And then Zia came, and he sort of clarified the situation. Because पहले जो हमें एक सेंस थी कि हमें तंगी आती थी घरों की तरफ से, यहाँ जाना है यहाँ नहीं जाना. सरकार was very open. It was least pushed about what we were doing. And then Zia came. इससे पहले women from universities as part of the left, अभी यूनिपोलर वर्ल्ड भी नहीं आई थी ना. अभी अफगानिस्तान में रूस नहीं हारा था ना, अफगानिस्तान की जंग हुई थी. So it was a bipolar world. There was the Cold War on, but we had the alternative. Not just कि एक ही aggressive capitalist system नहीं है, उधर socialism भी है, communism भी है. So options थी आपके पास. And there was a fairly active left movement in universities and students and academics. And a lot of women at that time were part of those groups. And then when Zia came, and to be left wing became a gully under Zia. When he came, it brought the women together, and Women's Action Forum was formed. I was not in the country at that time, but I knew when it was formed, and I knew that when I came back, I was going to join it. It was an inevitability. So it happened like that. कोई इतना भारी भरकम सोच विचार या कोई ट्रॉमा नहीं हुआ था. It was a process of evolving, understanding, awareness, resistance, rebellion, and anger.
The passing of the Hudud Ordinance in 1979 during President Ziaul Haq's regime was the backdrop against which Women's Action Forum was formed in 1981. WAF emerged as a vanguard of the democratic movement in Pakistan when, in February 1983, WAF held a public rally against the law of evidence in Lahore, which was brutally dispersed by the police. After this atrocious onslaught, student and trade unions and political activists joined the struggle against the distortion of the social order. Since then, February 12th is celebrated as National Women's Day in Pakistan. These examples from our history, when women resisted sexist laws with collective action, are extremely relevant today. It tells us that women in this country will not remain silent in the face of gender or class-based oppression. Neelum is hopeful about the class consciousness and spirit of activism in women today.
I find it very exciting that the younger generation is speaking almost a language which at times I don't understand, because you're coming from social media and your emojis and your whatevers, and so कई दफा it takes a little time to understand कि बात क्या कर रहे हैं. But I find it exciting. I love the energy. I love the fact that you're there. Or I remember there was a time जब the generation immediately after, हमारी बेटियों की generation would say कि आप ये क्यों नहीं करते, आप ये क्यों नहीं करते, आपने ये नहीं किया. We said हमने बहुत कुछ नहीं किया, कुछ हुआ नहीं, कुछ गलत डिसीजंस ली गई, कुछ हमारे कैपेसिटी से बाहर था शायद, बट आप लोग करो. You don't have to be part of us. You start your own movement. It didn't happen with that generation, but I think it's happening now, spontaneously coming out of the younger generation's experience and understanding and sense of injustice, and I find it very exciting. I think it is important to think and reflect and to read not just social media, not just what you get on blogs and things, but actually to pick up a book and read, क्योंकि सब कुछ आपको बहुत कुछ मिल जाता है actually on the computer, but it is important to engage with ideas to build your own knowledge base constantly. constantly because दुनिया बदल रही है और कितना भी हम सीखें, जितना सीखने को है वो कभी आ नहीं सकता. And the other is what my friend Shalazia, also from WAF, used to say कि जब कोई कानून मांगे या कोई तब्दीली मांगे तो सोचें कि ये आपके खिलाफ किस तरह यूज हो. Think about that before you ask for something and then modify what you're asking to mitigate the harm it can do, but to emphasize only the good it can do.
During the 16 days of activism, we take you on a journey to understand and celebrate Pakistan's vibrant history of women rights activism and bring perspectives from the WVLP team on women's collective action and agency in today's age. Stay tuned.